Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the first video of a series of videos that I decided to make because of a suggestion, actually because of a few suggestions that I got from friends and family, that it would be nice to just, because most of the people that I know don't really know how to apply makeup, and since I'm usually just doing makeup tutorials with little instructions, they thought it would be great if I would do like step-by-step videos. So this video is dedicated to primers and applying foundation and concealer. So I put those three things together because I think this is a great base that you can work with. This is like making your face the canvas that you want to work on. Anyways, I'm gonna start off with primers now. I'm going to tell you what primers are, how primers work. I have been to beauty school, if you don't know. I haven't got my diploma yet, so that's why I don't call myself a makeup artist. And the most things that I did learn over time was actually by watching YouTube videos. So I'm just going to start off with primers. What is a primer? A primer is basically mostly kind of a cream that you apply underneath your foundation to prime your face. Most primers make your foundation glide on smoother, and they also help it to stay on longer. There are primers that are pore minimizing. There are also primers which are like mattifying. You can find a primer for your needs that will suit your needs. I have three here in front of me that I talk about today. I think these are the only primers that I have here right now. So first of all, I'm going to the drugstore and I'm going to show you this little guy. This is the Nivea Men's Sensitive Aftershave Balm. You've probably heard about this a lot because Nikki Tutorials made it a primer and not a aftershave balm anymore. What it does, it has a lot of glycerin, I don't know how to pronounce it, I think glycerin in it. Most of the primers do, which it acts kind of as an adhesive for your foundation. It makes your foundation last longer. This one does smell a little bit like a man, but the smell goes away after you apply the thing on your face. And you apply foundation over top anyway, so the scent fades. This one is really good if you are on a budget. It is also really good if you aren't on a budget. It is just a good primer. So in my case, I usually always buy moisturizing primers because I have very, very dry skin. The next primer that I'm going to show you is this Makeup Forever primer. It's the Step 1 Skin Equalizer. I bought the base, oh my god, it's French. It's a nourishing primer. So again, I bought something that is a little bit nourishing. It's not the hydrating one itself. It's a little bit more like step up because this one is even a little bit thicker and it stays on a little bit longer than the hydrating one. And this one from Smashbox is also from a range of different primers that do different things. This one is the Photo Finish Foundation Primer in Hydrating. I love it. I do like all my primers. It is just I need something hydrating underneath my foundation, otherwise it will cling to dry patches on my skin and it will not look cute anymore. So these are the primers that I wanted to show you. I usually apply them with my hands. I think this is the easiest way to apply them. If you have acne, it's probably not as good to apply it with your hands. You might want to use a cleaned brush for it, and if you use your hand, you want to really kind of make sure that all the germs on your fingers are gone. Wash your hands with some antibacterial soap or something. So moving on to foundations, I've got a bunch of them that I want to show you. Starting off with drugstore again, I would say my favorite drugstore foundation is the L'Oreal Perfect Match or True Match in some countries. This foundation is still the old packaging. I really do like it. However, it does oxidize a little bit and it leaves me with a slightly orange undertone once it oxidized. I'm not a big fan of foundations which oxidize, but this one, however, leaves my skin with a beautiful finish anyways, and with some powder I can correct this orange. It's not that much orange. I heard that the Lumi one is even better for dry skin. However, in Austria I haven't seen Lumi foundation anywhere apart from on the internet, and I don't really like to buy my foundations off the internet for shade matching reasons. So I've stuck to this one. I really like it. It is a liquid foundation, which means it's not creamy. It is not pressed into a compact. It is a buildable foundation. If you don't know what buildable is, basically just you can put on layer after layer after layer, and you will look cakey after some point, but this one I find is buildable. You can get it to a decent amount of coverage. I have two more liquid foundations. This one I'm still kind of testing out, the NARS Sheer Glow. It's the first time that I'm using this. Everyone, like, it's an old hat in the business. So it is good. The first time I used it, I've only used it once and I really liked it. So it's also a liquid foundation, and this foundation is my Ride or Die foundation. It's the Armani Luminous Silk. I'm currently running out of it. It's kind of empty, so I have to go and get a new one once my bank account isn't that sad anymore. This one is also a liquid foundation, really good. I really like it. I do not have a compact foundation to show you. Basically it just looks like a powder, and you just open it and it's like a cream foundation in it. There are also cushion foundations out there, which is basically just a sponge that acts as a cushion, and it's filled up with liquid foundation. When you put your brush onto it, it does give you the product. Don't have this, it's not really available in Austria yet as well. But what I do have a cream foundation, and this one is the Makeup Forever Foundation Stick. What it does, basically, I have this little lid on just for sanitary reasons. You just twist it up and there is like the creamy foundation. This, as obviously, you couldn't do this with something like this. This is a lot more liquidy, whereas this is a real cream. This one, I tell you, will give you the coverage of your life. You don't even need to build this foundation up. It's just very, very high in coverage. Anyways, you can obviously sheer it out with some Fix Plus or a dampened brush or beauty blender, but I find that this one, whenever I need a big coverage or a great coverage, this one is my go-to product. So now on to how to apply your foundation, or what you will use or can use to apply your foundation with. Well, you can use your fingers. I know for a fact that a lot of people use their fingers and they like to do that. I don't really like to do that. It's also not very sanitary. I mean, yes, again, you can wash your hands with soap, but I don't know. I don't find it very cool. And so what I am using is, I'm mostly using a dampened beauty blender. So this is a dampened beauty blender, and this one is a dirty, not dampened one. And you can, if I hold it like this, you can see that once you dampen it, it gets bigger and more fluffy, and just, yeah, it's great. But if you are on a budget, there's also, I think the best dupe out there for the beauty blender is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. It is a little bit bigger. It has a flat side, which you can very good apply foundation with. And this one has a more kind of a round side, and you bounce your foundation in with this little guy. You could also, if you prefer brushes over sponges, you could use brushes like these. This is from XO Beauty. You probably know XO. It's her own makeup brand. I love this brush. It's already a little bit old. Her newer brushes are made in Italy. However, I really like it because it's very, very dense on top. You can apply your foundation on here, or how I always do it, on the back of my hand when I use a foundation brush like this, Or what I also like to do is just apply it to my finger and then just evenly distribute the product with dots on my face, and then I'm just kind of working it in. Again, you can wet the brush, you can use it dry. It depends on your personal liking. This one is also kind of a brush like this. It's a little bit smaller. I personally use it to blend in cream contour, but you could definitely use this one as a foundation brush. It is the Sigma Round Kabuki F82. Looks like this. Again, it's a little bit round over top, and this one is flat, as the name implies. These both brushes are not that expensive, and I think with a foundation brush, if you really want to use a brush, you may want to invest a little bit more for the foundation brush so that you have a nice non-streaky base, and for your eyeshadow brushes you can just maybe use more cheap ones. However, I do have another foundation brush which is definitely not that expensive. It's a Real Technique stippling brush. It is not as dense as the others, but it was my first foundation brush that I used, and I found it worked great. I really liked it. It has these white bristles to stand out. This one does have white bristles too, but it's a lot more dense over top. This one is not as dense. It has just a little bit more space for your foundation to disappear into the brush. That maybe I should say also, with a beauty blender you can mostly not have a cake face because it just takes away the excess product unless you put on so much product. But with a beauty blender it's very hard to let it happen with a beauty blender. And with brushes, well, you may have a cake face afterwards. Sometimes when I use my brush to apply my foundation, which I rarely do lately, but if I do so, I will go over with a beauty blender still, just to make sure that there is no excess product anymore on my face. I really just want to avoid that. So now on to concealers. I have a bunch of concealers to show you. I'm just going to show you here 2 of my favorites from the drugstore and 2 of my favorites high-end. This one is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer and the L'Oreal True Match. I find that the True Match has a lighter shade than the Fit Me, so this one is very, very good if I want to highlight as well. This one is really my kind of skin tone, and it just blends in very good, but it does not highlight or lift anything, whereas lighter colors do lift your face up. But that's something I'm going to go into when I explain what contouring is. So this is not in this video. These 2 are very good in coverage. I really, really like them, and if you are on a budget, or even if you are not and you're just thinking, shall I spend the extra money for a high-end one, I think you can really work with the low-end or drugstore concealers. They are great. So my 2 favorite high-end concealers are the Makeup Forever Ultra HD concealer and the NARS Radiant Creamy concealer. So these 2 I really, really love. I also love the MAC one that comes in the glass bottle where you just have to squeeze down, but I don't like the packaging. I don't like the glass bottle, and there's always too much product coming out of it, so I don't really like it. These 2, however, are really great. This one has like this, I think it's called doe foot, right? I'm not entirely sure. This applicator that also lip glosses and stuff have. You can really distribute the product very, very nicely. This one just comes out of this tube. You can put it on the back of your hand and just distribute it like this with a brush. Again, I like to use a beauty blender, and I like to use the pointy side. You can also use a brush. There are plenty of brushes out there. A brush like this, it's a cream shader from Zoeva 233. This one would be a perfect brush for cream products because it's very dense and it gets the product on. I only use this to distribute the product on my face. Again, to blend it in, I'm using my beauty blender. This one and this one are very, very high in coverage, and you really need a little. A little of this goes a long way, even though I personally like to pack it on because I'm all in or nothing. But if you just want to have it just as a normal skin tone color or as a highlighty shade, because they have a huge range of shades, you can definitely do both with them, and they are just great. Now I'm just going to demonstrate how I personally apply my makeup, how I like it to be applied. I'm going to use my beauty blender for it. I'm going to use my NARS Sheer Glow foundation, and I'm going to use my L'Oreal True Match concealer over top, just for like showing you that you can compare like high-end to drugstore, however you like. I'm using the Nivea Aftershave Balm because it is just a dope foundation primer. I'm rubbing it a little bit between my hands until it gets a little tacky, and then I'm just applying it on to my face. Then you wait until the product gets a little bit more tacky on your face. I apply it with a wet beauty blender, or dampened I should say. You just squeeze it under the sink for a few times, like 10 times approximately, and then you use a face cloth like this or a towel, whatever you have, put it in there and press one more time, because this will just take off the like left excess that you can just squeeze out. Then I'm using my foundation, and as I told you, I'm just gonna put it like this. I like to do it that way onto my face. Sorry, I have to look in the mirror in order to see something, because my glasses are off and I'm blind AF. Okay, then I'm using the back side of my beauty blender, and I'm just kind of dabbing the whole product situation into my skin. Dab, 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 dab. You can always use less, because less is more, and then you can just apply more if needed to avoid cake face. So this is one layer of foundation done. It is not enough for me just yet, so I am going to apply a little bit more. That's what I meant with buildable. I sometimes also go over my eyes a little bit, then I'm just saving time not using an eye primer, which you can do as well. You can just dab it, or just make like dabs with a little circular motion, like so, just bounce, 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 bounce. Also very important, blend out the edges. No one wants to have makeup lines. It's like, no, just no. Concealer now, I'm just taking it. It has the same applicator like the NARS one, and I'm just dabbing a little bit. Today, it's still daytime. I'm not going anywhere special or fancy, so I'm going for a very light amount. And I'm dabbing it in with my beauty blender again, and I'm using the pointy side. Where you put lighter colors, you will lift. So I tend to just go a little bit upwards with my concealer on the side of my eye, just lift, have this lifted eye effect. You can use the concealer also, as the name implies, under your nose to conceal redness. Here I have a little. So this is basically it, guys. I just set it with a translucent powder because I just got a call and I had to leave the room, and I couldn't just leave my foundation on like this. I hate it, so I just put on some powder. About powders I'm going to talk next time. I hope this video is not too long. I know it is a little bit long, I'm sorry, but I had just to address all these different kind of foundations and everything. You know how the drill is. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box down below. If you aren't already and you want to be, you could subscribe and be, I don't know if it's here or here. Anyways, a fairy will turn up somewhere now. And you can subscribe. It would be really cool to have you as a part of my internet family. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. The next video will be on powders. I think I will just leave it at that subject, so it will be a short one next time. But the first one, I think, as a foundation, ha 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 ha, word joke. I'm so funny. This one is just like the foundation that the whole other videos will just base on. I hope you like it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! That it's not in a pressed compact